Guys, it's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. We have a pretty interesting bass on the bench today. It is a G L L2000 Series E. We're going to try to date it and do some quick diagnosis for the customer. I've been tasked with restoring this guitar. It's a little sweaty, it's a little grungy. Guy picked it up at sort of a garage sale, online garage sale for cheap. And we're going to try to bring it back to life, so let's get into it. Let's see here if we can get a little bit better view. Bear with me. This is always the camera lottery at this point. All right, there we go. We'll call that good for now. Okay, so G L bass, as you know, Leo Fender sold his rights to the Fender brand, my understanding, sometime in the 70s. I'll have to confirm that, but sometime in the 80s he started G&L with a partner company and started producing these basses, and they were revolutionary, just like the original basses that Leo Fender and the guitars and the amps that Leo Fender started and invented. Basically invented electric guitar playing and revolutionized it with easily repairable instruments for the masses. And well, you know the rest of the story. Anybody that looks at a Fender Stratocaster or a Fender jazz bass or a P bass, they know exactly what it is, whether they're players or not. They know it's a Fender. Interestingly enough, this must be an early one. I'm going to guess, without dating it. I'm going to kind of go out on a limb here. I know that Leo Fender was sued by his namesake company, which he sold the rights to, for making this bass when it originally came out, because the headstock looked too much like the jazz bass or the P bass, and later versions actually had a little, some people call it a teardrop, had a little point. He had to modify the headstock, and this one is early because it looks just like any Fender, basically. Down here you get into a little bit more differences. Pickups, monster pickups. I got to learn a little bit more about these. I know about them. I know about this bridge. Absolutely revolutionized the way bridges are used. You can actually slide it back and forth, up and down, so you can set string spacing, what have you. There is a serial number right here on it. I tried to search it, but it did not come up with anything. Today we're going to de-string it, straighten the neck. I've already checked the truss rod. It seems to move freely. I'm going to double check that when I get the strings off to make sure that it's actually doing what it's supposed to do. Because if it doesn't, then there's no point going any further. I did a preliminary checkout on the electronics. As you can see, they're pretty grungy and pretty rusty. I don't think this guitar was treated very well after it had been played. And it has been played a lot. We've got some fret wear that you can only get from playing, and you can see here where, typically an arm would rest while you're rubbing through that and playing it. That's the only way that can come off of there. Other dings and dents, and it's just kind of a crusty, rusty old girl, but we're going to make it, hopefully, as long as everything checks out, we're going to bring it back to its former glory. We're not going to refinish it, but mechanically we're going to bring it back. I like guitars that have this natural checking on it. I'm going to guess this is somewhere around the early 80s, but we're going to go into it right now. So let's de-string it. Of course, the strings are not put in there correctly. Oh, one other thing. These look like Grover tuners or a Grover copy. Somebody took the original ones off because on the back there are actually screw holes that were never filled, and these were put on, so I know these are not original to the bass, but we're not going to let that slow us down. Some cutters. That is not going to make this guitar not play well. It's going to play well. Sooner or later, I have confidence. Now, the father of the owner of this guitar, his son found it, bought it for $50. So why can't I ever find that kind of a deal? But I got chatting him up about it. He told me about it the other day, and he sent me some pictures, and I told him initially what I thought he had, and he gave it to me and said, his birthday's in September. I want you to bring it up, restore it, bring it to snuff, and he's going to regift it back to his son after all the repairs are done so that it's playable for him for his birthday in September. It is July now, the early part of July 23. So today is really just initial checkout to see how far we're going to have to go. Now, I have confidence that we can get this guitar playing correctly. These strings, obviously, who knows how old they are, they're not going to make it. I'm always going to put a new set of strings on a restoration job like this anyway. And as I said, none of them were on there correctly. So I want to get them off, and we're going to flip it over, and we're going to try to remove the neck and date this. Because I believe, of course, that's not going to want to come out of there for some stupid reason. That one did, that one did, that one did. Come on, you. There we go. Get them all out of there. Oh boy, is she dirty. Boy, oh boy, is she dirty. First thing I want to do is sight down this neck, and I believe I found this to be a 1/8. And as usual, whenever you're getting into a deep dive on a guitar like this, you want to make sure the neck is in a straight condition, regardless of where it is when you found it. It is bananaed slightly. And the truss rod seems to be working relatively well, although it was all the way to a relaxed condition. It's straightened right up. There's a little bit of wobble here. I am going to check to see if good old Leo put a two-way in this. I would be surprised if there is, because his necks are usually so stable. So yeah, now we gotta, because we relaxed it. I think it might be catching. No, it's only got a regular truss rod in it. Well, this wood is going to be of the highest quality. I'm sure it's maple and rosewood. This looks like a really dark rosewood, and the rest of it is roasted maple by the looks of it. On the neck itself and the headstock. Let's get it straightened back out. A little bit more, I think. I would rather be at bordering on back bow than being relaxed for an extended period of time, and this project could take me a little while. I will measure that with a straight edge in a little bit, but it looks pretty straight to me, definitely straighter than it was. So next thing is, this might seem unsettling to people who have never seen it, but we're going to take the neck off and try to date this thing, because that serial number is hard to read and I can't tell exactly what it is. It appears to be a B as in boy 008878, but it's in the nylon and it's not very readable. Be careful of those toggle switches. Checking all over it. Somebody moved the strap peg down here as if it were played as a lefty, but I doubt that. A lot of wood coming out of there. This is always a little dicey when you're working on an old guitar to take the neck off. We're going to inspect all the screw holes in the neck itself before we reassemble it. I might have to do some repair there just to make sure that the screws are still holding securely. There's no... That looks like the original color. This thing's really faded. No serial number on the back of there, so online forums lie. There we go. And October 26, 1981. I was correct. And this one has the auto shim, another Leo Fender invention. He actually put a shim plate where you can stick that screw right there. You loosen if you need to change your neck angle. You can actually use that screw to dive the neck angle up or down depending on where you need to be in adjustment. Another Leo Fender invention. Many Stratocasters you'll see with that, sometimes Tellys, but I don't know what these signatures mean in here. It says sell, some notes, can't make it out, but the date stamp is as clear as a bell. October 3rd, 1981. This would have been one of the original first ones produced, I'm believing. And this says November 18th, 1981. So somewhere after November 81, or could have been early 82, this guitar was sold. And most people, when they talk about these G&Ls, they talk about 82 and forward. So this could actually, these materials could have been actually manufactured before the first sale dates, before these were first available. That would make this an even more interesting guitar. But again, I'm spitballing and I'm not backing, I haven't backed any of that up with hard data yet, but we'll get there. Lots of screwery going on here. Like, these screws have been really boogered. So we're into it now. We might as well continue on into it. They still seem to want to come out okay. Where are these wood screws? Are super stable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws hold this in. Excuse me, 4 in the base of the bridge pocket and 2 on the outside. Very interesting. You know what? I'm going to keep these neck screws separate. I don't want to get those mixed up with anything else. They may be different. Stand by. Okay, I'm back. I just sometimes, when I'm taking these things apart, I put them in different bags and label them just for better identification at reassembly. I know this is going to have to come off to get cleaned anyway. I wanted to get this off and look under it. Because there's no way to clean this properly without completely dismantling it. And you'll notice I'm not using a screw gun on this. I've seen guys do it. I don't like to. I don't know, if you're really confident, go ahead. But boy, if something goes wonky on you, you want to feel it with your fingertips. Not by the time you feel it with a gun, it's too late. Something's already broken. And let's try not to break it. This guitar is 40 years old. Something feels weird with that one right there. It could just be goop down in the hole. I don't think these have ever been out of there. These neck screws have definitely been out at one time or another in this guitar's life. I don't know what for or what reason. The only reason would be to date it, or if you're doing a full restoration like I am. Because You could, if you ever needed to shim it, you don't need to put a shim in there. You can just adjust it. Leo Fender genius invention. Guy was a genius. Invented this stuff out of his head. How to make a jazz bass. So there's our ground wire, and I was getting a lot of static and not good reaction yesterday when I was initially checking this stuff out. So it felt like it was a ground issue, but I see the ground right there, and I see quite a bit of corrosion built up here. So this needs to be scraped down and cleaned so that it makes good contact here. I don't know if the camera's picking up on that, but a lot of corrosion has built up on there, and that could be just all that was wrong with the. So first thing we're going to do is clean this up today, put it back on there, and retest. I'm going to get this off and look in there, but I think I want to retest the electronics. Once I figure out, I'm going to pull this ground wire up and reseat it, so that because it's pushed down into the body, may not be making a good ground, and I don't think it's making a good ground here. I can see where somebody else at one time or another tried to do the same thing. They had the same idea where they scraped it and tried to make it get a good ground on there. Thing is, that's an aluminum. That is weird. I don't know why, but that's how he designed it, so that's how it's got to work. Stand by. We're going to go to cleaning, and then we're going to pull this out. So I took the instrument panel off, the control panel, and you got wires that are sticking off here, so that would be one reason why we weren't getting good sound. I got another wire here that looks like that one broke, and it goes to the preamp. So I'm going to say that is probably where our malfunction is. The circuit board on the preamp does not look good. It looks corroded and pretty grungy. But looks can be deceiving. I think if we can delicately reattach this wire, I don't know why that wire would be broken like that unless somebody snipped it totally by accident, and that's going to be a really fun repair. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but it has to be done. That green wire looks like it goes right to that green wire. I'm sure this cannot see that, but there is a break right there, and this is our preamp. Bing, bang, boom. Yeah. Okay, we're going to stop there for today. I'm going to have to get with the customer. Just note, we have all Alco original equipment in here. None of this stuff has been changed. This is all real deal stuff from back in the day. I really don't want to move this around as much as possible as I can avoid it, because it looks like it's just one wire that came undone. If I can put that back together and retest the electronics, we might be in business where I can start moving forward. Once I can confirm that the pickups operate properly and all the controls are operating properly, and we can move forward. I'm going to pause there. Actually, we're going to stop this first video there because this is going to take quite some time. There's going to be, as I usually do, several in a series with this guitar. But today we learned it's an original 1981. Sold, the neck is dated November 81, so it was probably sold sometime in early 82, I'm going to guess. I'm going to also do more research on the G L L product. I am not totally up on it completely as to when the first model year was. So let's find all that out. We'll get back together. Thanks for hanging out. This was a short video, but we learned a lot, and we're going to learn more about this guitar as time goes by. So thanks for hanging out. We'll talk soon.